Mark has been planning this for months. He's been saving up his money because he wanted to find the perfect ring for Sarah. He spent hours at the jewelry store looking at different settings. Believe it or not, he almost bought a massive diamond, but then realized Sarah prefers things that are a bit more subtle and elegant, and that his money is better spent on the wedding as well. He finally picked out a beautiful, simple ring. He's incredibly nervous, but you can see it in his eyes. He is so excited. He wants to spend his life with Sarah. Once he got home, the real challenge started. Where to hide it? Sarah knows this apartment inside and out. He needed a spot she would never think to look. He eventually decided on the pantry inside a bag of flour. He figured Sarah never bakes, so the flour is the safest place in the house. He tucked the red box deep into the powder. It seemed like a good plan at the time. Little did he know, Sarah was busy with her own secret. Shh. She's been working all day on her computer, but if you look closely at her screen, it isn't work reports she's finishing. She's been browsing online for a special anniversary gift for Mark. She's trying to be very discreet because Mark keeps popping in and out of the room. She's actually quite proud of herself for keeping her surprise a secret. Fast forward to the evening. Mark has totally taken over the kitchen. He's determined to cook a five-star meal from scratch. He's got his Kiss the Cook apron on, and he's juggling four different pots on the stove. He's trying to time everything perfectly. The pasta, the homemade sauce, the appetizers, but he may have bit off more than he can chew. But he's trying to stay calm and focused. Sarah finally finishes with the computer and heads into the kitchen to see how things are going. She's brought a nice bottle of wine to celebrate their 1 year milestone. Mark was so wrapped up in his cooking that he didn't even hear her come into the kitchen. When she said hi, he jumped out of his skin. He almost sent his wooden spoon flying across the room. And then disaster strikes. Because Mark was so distracted by Sarah's arrival, he completely lost track of the pan on the front burner. The oil caught on fire. In a split second, there are flames shooting towards the cabinets. Sarah is shouting, and Mark is scrambling to figure out what to do. It's total chaos. Luckily, Mark didn't panic for long. He grabbed the fire extinguisher and started spraying. White chemical foam went everywhere. He managed to put out the fire, which was a relief, but the kitchen and their dinner is now covered in a thick layer of white foam. It's a complete wreck. But wait, it gets even worse. In all the confusion and the rush to clean up the foam, Sarah accidentally bumped the open bag of flour on the counter. It tipped over and the flour just exploded. A massive cloud of white flour erupted into the air, mixing with the fire foam. It was like a winter storm inside their kitchen. When the dust finally settled, Mark and Sarah were just standing there, staring at each other. They were both covered from head to toe in white powder. Mark's red hair is completely turned white. Sarah looks like she's been playing in the snow. They were both in total shock. And for a minute, neither of them said a word. Suddenly, a look of pure terror crossed Mark's face. He realized that the ring was in that bag of flour. He started frantically digging through the piles of white powder all over the counter. Sarah had no idea what he was doing. She just thought he'd finally lost his mind. He's tossing flour left and right, desperately trying to find that little red box. And then, right there in the middle of the mess, he found it. He didn't even bother cleaning himself up. He just dropped to one knee on the floor and held up the box. He said, "Sarah, this wasn't how I planned it. The dinner is burnt and the kitchen is a disaster. We look like ghosts. But I don't want to spend another day without knowing that you are mine forever. Will you marry me?" Sarah was so overwhelmed with joy. She started crying and laughing at the same time. Of course, she said yes. So they ended up sitting on the kitchen floor, surrounded by flour and foam. There's no fancy pasta or expensive dinner, just plain toast and some wine. But if you look at them, they have never been happier. They know that life is messy, but as long as they are together, it's going to be okay. It's definitely an anniversary they'll be telling their grandkids about someday. What an emotional roller coaster. I really hope you enjoyed this milestone episode of The Neighbor Next Door. If you're happy for Mark and Sarah, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the wedding preparations. Also, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Have you ever had a plan go completely wrong, but it turned out perfectly in the end? Thanks for being a part of this episode. I'll see you in the next lesson.